Welcome back. Vice President Joe Biden becoming the highest-ranking public official to endorse same-sex marriage. Biden speaking to NBC's David Gregory, saying that he has no problem with gays and lesbians having marriage rights.
I am Vice President of the United States of America. The President sets the policy. I am absolutely comfortable with the fact that men marrying men, women marrying women, and heterosexual men and women marrying women all are entitled to the same exact rights, all the civil rights, all the civil liberties. And quite frankly, I don't see much of a distinction beyond that.
In a second term, will this administration come out behind same-sex marriage, the institution of marriage?
I can't speak to that.
Well, President Obama's senior campaign advisor, David Axelrod, trying to dial back the statement after the interview. On his personal Twitter account, Axelrod wrote what VP said, that all married couples should have exactly the same legal rights, is precisely POTUS's position. So how will this all play out politically? Let's bring in our power panel. Julie Roginski, former communications director for Democratic Senator Jon Corzine of New Jersey and a Fox News contributor. Deneen Borelli, a columnist for The Daily Caller, also a Fox News contributor, and Mary Walter, a radio talk show host. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
So I'm going to begin with you, Julie, on this. Now, what do you think this means politically as we approach the election?
Well, you know, the Obama administration's had to play a very fine line between people in the Democratic base who support marriage equality and other people in the Democratic base, specifically the African-American community that has traditionally been not as forceful on marriage equality. You saw that in California when that community was responsible for basically defeating the marriage equality amendment there. So, you know, he's had to play a very fine line. Look, I'm proud of Joe Biden. I think David Axelrod was a little disingenuous today in saying this is the president's position. It's not the president's position. The president's been kind of wavering on this issue, hasn't been really forceful on it. And good for Joe Biden for coming out and saying everybody deserves to have the same rights that everybody else has. There's no discrimination that should be involved when it comes to civil rights in this country.
But do you think that it's possible that the Obama administration, Deneen, I'll ask you this, do you think that they put Biden in this position so they could maybe test the waters a little bit?
I think this is an orchestrated trial balloon that they're doing here because they're trying to see what the public's reaction is going to be should Obama change his position on gay marriage. And when you say this is a civil right, I think that is an insult really to the civil rights era, because civil rights was about blacks getting equal opportunity, equal treatment for housing, for jobs, for opportunities in America. This is not a civil rights issue.
Well, actually, if we're to talk about that, I think civil rights extend to not just the African-American community, it extends to any community.
Unions. This has nothing to do with civil rights.
It extends to every community that's been discriminated
People
against.
People were attacked and discriminated.
I'm sorry, but gay and lesbian people in this country are attacked and discriminated. Gay and lesbian people in this country are attacked and discriminated on a daily basis, and the fact is, the matter is,
nothing
that as a straight woman, as a straight woman,
I find that insulting.
No, well, I find it I find it ridiculous that you don't think that gays and lesbians are discriminated.
Back to President Obama and Vice President Biden, do we think, how long will the gay and lesbian community stand for this kind of a wishy-washy position on this?
You know, I don't understand why the gay and lesbian community supports Obama the way they do. And I have a lot of friends who are gay, and I ask them all the time, like, why do you support this man the way you do? What has he done for you? And they can't answer that question.
Well,
what has he done
ask,
for you?
don't tell, also allowing partners into hospital rooms.
But why not, instead of doing it piecemeal, he's issued how many executive orders? How many things has he put into place bypassing Congress? Why not just really put his money where his mouth is and do something here? I'm actually disappointed in Obama for not stepping up to the plate and saying, I'm going to make this an issue of equality for everyone. And I think he could win a lot of points. Listen, I'm a libertarian in that sense, and he would win a lot of points with me, and I don't like the guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's really blowing it by just not doing something.
I do think that it's not so much about policy, and it's a lot about votes.
He's afraid.
Especially coming just days before a vote going on in North Carolina, which is, of course, a key swing state coming up on Tuesday, a gay marriage vote there.
But he's had 3.5 years to do it, but like everything else, he wrings his hands, he's got to think about it, he's got to do this, and he doesn't do anything.
Well, I think it's a calculus when it comes to which constituency he's going to please,
well, it's about him and getting reelected.
And it's about the reelection campaign. But look, I fervently hope that if he does get reelected, that he does what I believe is in his heart, which is just establish equality for everybody. Look, the fact of the matter is, as a straight woman, I can go get married. Any of us can go get married tomorrow, and not have any problems, doing it. If you're not a straight woman.
Well,
or
that's why they
straight
have
male.
civil unions.
Well, we have to
civil
move to
unions,
the
you know,
next
civil
topic
unions
now.
are separate but
Yeah,
equal.
this is a
Separate
hot
but equal.
topic. I know you guys would definitely want to spend a lot of time on it, but we have another topic to talk about right now. The arraignment of the accused 9/11 terrorists sparking some controversy, specifically clothes. The female attorney for one of the defendants showing up in traditional Muslim woman's outfit. Cheryl Borman wearing a head covering and a long black robe, apparently because her client insists on it. She also wants other women in the courtroom to do the same, so the male terror defendants can look at them without, quote, fear of committing a sin under their faith. I'll just say to begin with, I really don't care if they're afraid of their faith. I don't care what they have to say.
Cheryl Borman, whatever her name is, wants to feed into what her clients are demanding her to do. That is her choice. But who is she to tell others in the courtroom how to dress, how to look? It stops there. I mean, that's it. We've been placating these suspects and terrorists long enough. I think we've had enough of this.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
About that.
66 pages thick. Catherine
want it
Harris
read out loud.
talked about yesterday. Yeah. I mean, and these shenanigans that have lasted this long, and then yesterday, refusing to make a plea and trying to extend it even further.
Well, didn't she ask the judge to order the women in the courtroom to dress more conservatively?
Yes.
And as far as I know, the judge has not done
And these are all military women. Let's not forget, these are not, civilian lawyers. These are all JAG attorneys, I believe, or people who are, subject to military dress code.
But she was also including the victims' families in that.
She
those that
was,
were able to attend.
and Denise's absolutely right. Look, she can do whatever she wants to do. If she wants to please her client, that is absolutely her prerogative to dress in a burqa or to dress in a hijab or whatever she wants to wear. But I think in the same way that her civil rights can't be violated in terms of what she chooses to wear, she certainly can't violate the civil rights of other people by demanding that they dress in a way that's appropriate.
I don't really think they care too much about offending Americans or us when they killed 3,000 people, nearly 3,000 people they murdered.
They're making a mockery of our government and of our rules and laws, and who are they to dictate what other people in America should be doing?
And am I the only woman who would show up in a real short skirt and a low-cut top the next day?
Just to offend them.
Go in a bikini.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you all. We're not done yet. Coming up, a teenager just wants to play the sport that he loves, but he's getting sidelined, raising questions about gender discrimination. Our power panel weighs in up next.
For a land where the horses run free, and you and me are free to be you and me. Every boy in this land.
Well, welcome back. The only boy on an all-girls field hockey team at a New York high school getting the boot. School officials say that he was having a negative effect on the game, and the boy, he says he just wants to play and he misses his teammates.
I play a lot of sports, but none of them compare to how I like field hockey. It's just so much fun. I hope that they'll let me just play for at least one more year, just keep it going, because it's been so much fun, and I think the girls are my family now.
The 13-year-old is just 4 feet 8, by the way, and the county's youth sports executive says when a boy plays a girl's sport, it leads the way for other male players to come in and take over. Our power panel is back. Julie Roginski, Deneen Borelli, and Mary Walter. And I'm going to start with you this time, Deneen.
Listen, you can't change the rules in the middle of the game, pun intended. The officials really should have contemplated all of the consequences that could have occurred by having a boy on an all-girls team, or other boys that may be involved. So, I fault the officials.
Yeah, or vice versa. A girl on an all-boys team, I mean, she could take over just as easily. Mary?
Exactly. As long as they have the same number of teams available for the boys and the girls, then he's got to find a male sport he wants to play. In Ireland, where he's from, this is a male sport.
And that's the thing, his family's from Ireland, or at least they moved there when he was 2 years old, and so he was brought up there and he was able to play, because field hockey isn't just traditionally a girls' sport over there. It's also an Olympic sport, and males play as well.
Right, and I mean, that's what I think was so offensive when they said, well, it's typically a girls' sport, so he can't play. Well, why not? Look, he's the same height and size, and I think weight.
But what size, then what height restrictions do you put
Well,
on? I think you made a good point.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope.
But my point is right, but if we're expecting girls to be able to to play regular football, which I think there are some girls out there in high school that have tried to get on the regular football team with boys, and we're sort of saying, you know, this girl's good enough to play football with the boys, why can't she play? Well, then let this kid play if he's actually qualified to play in terms of not hurting anybody or harming anybody. It's a tough call. I see exactly what you're saying, but you know, if this is a game that he's really passionate about, and he's not going to be some, you know, 6-foot-tall boy who's going to come and crush these little girls. Look, I played field hockey. I was horrible, but
Best
you know,
case
but if
scenario
somebody-
would be if the school could afford to have a male field hockey team.
Or an intramural team.
Yeah.
Have an intramural
team's a great
and
idea.
let him
That's
play,
true.
and if they don't get enough boys to play, then he doesn't play.
Well, does free speech extend to clicking the like button on Facebook? Not according to a federal judge in Virginia. He ruled that liking something on the social networking site does not protect you under the First Amendment. 4 former employees, they sued Sheriff B.J. Roberts, this is where all this stems from, after he fired them, saying that they were let go for supporting the sheriff's opponent in his bid for re-election. One of those workers had liked the Facebook page of the sheriff's opponent. Sheriff Roberts says that he wanted to replace them with sworn deputies, while others were fired for poor job performance. And just to explain to people who may not be on Facebook, because there are some, my mother's one of them, by liking, you just agree that, oh, well, I like this page, I agree to it, you just click. But I guess the difference would be if you actually physically typed in, I like this candidate, then you'd be protected. It doesn't make any sense.
Ridiculous.
Mary?
Honestly, I think they should be fired for being stupid, because for that alone, I mean, how dumb do you have to be? You know, you can like somebody, but you don't go on there and like it where everybody can see it, and that's part of the social media. Everybody can see.
Oh wait,
what you
did this
do.
prevent them from doing their job as law enforcement officials? That's the part I don't get. You know, you fire somebody for cause, right? You fire somebody for not taking a bullet when you're supposed to, or for not giving somebody a ticket when they're supposed to get one, whatever sheriff's officers are supposed to do. These poor schlubs just went and liked a Facebook page,
you know what?
and it's a political statement. They're basically being fired for their political views, not for their ability to do their job.
I think this is retaliation.
Exactly
It's
right.
just getting back
Exactly
at them.
right.
You know, this is,
But how did
they
they
have
not
their
see
right
that
to say
coming?
whatever they
How
want.
did they not see that coming?
Well,
that's
they have
the
the
thing.
right to
Like,
say whatever they
like,
want.
really,
Yeah.
I just think the better part of valor says be smart, and they clearly weren't smart.
Oh, I'm
And
not
if you're
saying
bad-
they're the
But it's their
sharpest, you know,
personal views. It was
sharpest
their
knives in the
opinion.
drawer, but Denise is absolutely
Well-
right. You know, their job was not impacted by this in terms
Yeah.
of their
Well,
ability
you
to-
all did a great job today.
you.
Thank you all so much for joining us for our Power Panel, and we will see you back again. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Greg, what's going on?
See, this